Thank you very much, Michael, for the gracious introduction, and I'm grateful for the opportunity of being here, and I'm glad that you're here, and I hope that the things that we have to present for your consideration this evening will be beneficial to you. I'd like to join with those speakers who have spoken before me in expressing to the elders, to Brother Hatcher, and to this congregation their foresight in conducting such lectureships as this, because I think these things are an excellent means in presenting the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm further thankful for the ability that we have to broadcast these live on the internet. Not only that, to encode and put these on our website where they will be there 50 years from now if this earth continues to spin on its axis. Brethren, we have a great opportunity to spread the gospel to a lost and dying world, and we need to think very seriously about those opportunities. We have, in the online academy, we have 29 new students who are ready to start studies this coming August. And among the other things that the Online Academy is doing, that we're also working in the evangelistic area. And soon after the war was over in the Far East, we decided that since our troops had kicked down the door, and since 100,000 Iraqi soldiers had entered eternity unprepared, that we were going to try to find an individual to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ in the Arabic language. We have found that man through the efforts of Brother Randy Mabe, who led the prayer as one of our instructors and preachers for the Oakey Boulevard congregation in Las Vegas, Nevada. And he is right now working with this man not only to preach in Arabic, but there's another man they have there that they're going to be working in the Romanian language. And also, in August, we're going to start, in addition to the 7 hours we have every Saturday, in English, we're going to start teaching 3 hours in Spanish. Brother Manuel Arroyo, who works with Brother Randy out in Las Vegas, a faithful preacher, and he's going to be conducting those classes, and we're looking forward to the possibility of what might be done through the internet in preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. The background of our study this evening is found in the 32nd chapter of the book of Exodus, and I want to give just a little bit of background. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because you can read that. But you remember here that Moses, through the power of God, has led the children of Israel out of the land of bondage. They have now encamped around Mount Sinai, and Moses, through the instructions of God, has gone to the top of the mount, and there he has received the law. But in Exodus chapter 32, there is an interesting, may I say, insertion here by the pen of inspiration, as God tells us of a departure that the children of Israel had made. The children of Israel, for some reason, became restless, and they came to Aaron, who was Moses' brother, and they told him to make gods to go before us, because we know not what has happened to this man Moses, who led us out of Egypt. He called for them to break off the earrings, and he says that he cast it in the fire, and he fashioned the golden calf. Well, as they began to worship this idol, God speaks to Moses and tells him to go down, because he says the children of Israel have corrupted themselves before me. Moses comes down with his companion Joshua, and you remember Joshua says that he hears the sound of battle. Moses corrects him and says, no, it's the voice of people that do sing do I hear. As he came upon the side and he found the children of Israel worshiping this golden calf, you remember that he threw the 2 tables of stone and they break. It is on this occasion that Moses confronts Aaron and he confronts the children of Israel. But I want you to read with me, please, verse number 26 in Exodus chapter 22, understanding that Moses has now confronted the people and his brother. The Bible says, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, who is on the Lord's side? Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. This is a question, my friends, that has specific meaning there, and it is a question based upon a concept and a philosophy that we ought to consider every day of our life. Who is on the Lord's side? We see here that the men of the children of Israel, or rather of the tribe of Levi, respond to this invitation. It is because of this that we understand, or at least a part of this, that they ultimately were called to the priestly order. But on this particular occasion, there is a serious problem that has appeared, is God is bringing to pass the great mystery of the ages. Here is a situation, my friends, that if it is allowed to go unchallenged, it could certainly do damage to that which we call the nation of Israel. Thus Moses is instructed to go back down to the people, and it is on this occasion he sends forth this challenge. Who is on the Lord's side? You know, I don't think I really have to explain what it means to be on the Lord's side. Brother Harold can remember back when we were boys that they would choose up sides and they would play ball. They might play cowboys and Indians or whatever it might be. And we all understood that when we were on a specific side, that we tried to advance the cause of that particular group. Thus, to be on the Lord's side is to stand for that which God has revealed upon the pages of inspiration. Listen to me, people. To be on the Lord's side is to be the kind of people God wants you to be. And that means in everyday life. That means in the things that we do relative to our worship and every aspect of what we do. Thus, it should not be hard for us to understand that on this particular occasion, Moses asks the question, who is on the Lord's side? Young people, I want you to listen to me for just a moment. You are young and tender at this particular time, but you need to remember that life is full of choices. You need to understand that at this particular time, God, speaking through the man Moses, has issued a challenge. He has called the people to make a choice. Who is on the Lord's side? And certainly you're going to be faced in your life, not only today, not only yesterday, but in the future, relative to this particular question. You're going to be called upon to make choices. I'm saddened at the basic philosophy that exists in our society tonight. The basic idea is that when there is a great calamity, the first thing that the psychiatrist and the psychologist want to do is to begin to examine the perpetrators of that crime to see what problem might have existed from their father or their mother or some other individual that would cause them to do this treacherous deed. And then ultimately they begin to trace it back. And friends, I'm here to tell you this evening that the main purpose for this is to remove the idea that one must face the consequences of choices that he makes. And on this particular occasion, we see the children of Israel had a choice. Some of them chose to follow God. When the question was posed, who is on the Lord's side, the children or the tribe of Levi answered affirmatively. They came, as it were, and they stood with Moses. And that's what you and I have to do. That's what we have to determine. Life is filled with choices. And there's only two kinds of choices. There is the right choice and there is the wrong choice. Isn't it interesting that generally speaking that 11/12 of the children of Israel at this time made the wrong choice? They all had the opportunity. They all heard Moses, who is on the Lord's side, and 11 out of every 12 of them, theoretically speaking, chose not to follow God. Friends, a serious problem has arisen among the children of Israel. Idolatry has entered in among them. And the end results of departing from the will of God certainly is disastrous. It would have been then, and it is today. I propose then for your consideration that on this particular occasion there were serious consequences that could and would be suffered if people failed to make the right choice. But hasn't man always had this ability? Didn't God create us as a choice-making people? Didn't He create us with the idea of a free moral agency? I can either choose to follow God or I can choose to disregard His will, to turn away and to walk from Him. Not being on the Lord's side, but, if you please, on the side of the devil. Well, in Joshua chapter 24, verse 15, a companion of Moses that was at least part of the way up the mountain on this occasion, and who was the understudy of this great man of God. Finally, after the death of Moses, he led the children of Israel into the promised land victoriously, and then later on in his life, he posed a situation for these people to consider. In Joshua chapter 24, in verse number 15, Joshua said, "Choose ye this day whom you will serve." Here is a choice that they had to make. Young people, you're going to be called upon this particular principle and concept every day of your life. Choose ye this day whom you're going to follow. And I would propose for your consideration that you do exactly as did the people on this particular occasion, as they said, God forbid that we should follow anyone other than God Himself. Well, I would propose then for your consideration as we consider this, that certainly this sets the stage for what we want to consider. And consider, if you would please, this concept that these choices that we make, listen to me, these choices we make will affect our eternal destiny. Now that's not about it, that's it. The choices that we make today, the choices that we make tomorrow is going to affect our eternal destiny. Notice what the Bible says relative to the concept that we have to stand responsible for the choices that we make. In Romans chapter 2 and verse 6, the Apostle Paul, speaking of the Lord when He comes, notice he says, who shall render to every man according to his deeds. You make choices. You do things. You must stand accountable for that. The children of Israel were called to stand accountable for their action. They had to make a choice. Who is on the Lord's side? Paul told the Corinthians in 2 Corinthians 5 in verse number 10, for we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that everyone may receive the things done in his body according to that he hath done. Now watch this, whether it be good or bad. Young people, are you listening? You have got to give account for your actions. And the choices that you make are going to determine the actions that you ultimately have to stand accountable for God. Well, as we look at this then, to be on the Lord's side is to stand with God, to stand for God, to be the kind of people that God would have you to be. That's what it means. Who is on the Lord's side? Are you the kind of people God desires you to be? Well, if I were going to look for various men or women, as the case might be, I would direct your attention to the 11th chapter of the book of Hebrews. I think one of the greatest instances that we have of individuals who are specifically mentioned relative to their faithfulness and their dedication. Turn over there, if you would please, to Hebrews chapter 11, and let's notice that Paul, through inspiration, if he be the Hebrew writer, and I feel that he is, I'm convinced that he is, notice that the Apostle Paul begins to mention here the concept of faith as it is evidenced in the life of individuals. Then he begins to mention specific individuals. He mentions a man by the name of Abel, then Enoch, then Noah, then Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses. And then I want you to draw your attention, if you will please, to verse 32 of Hebrews chapter 11. Verse 32. And what shall I say more? For time would fail me to tell of Gideon, of Barak, of Samson, of Jephthah, of David also, and Samuel, and of the prophets. He then begins to enumerate the various things that these individuals did. He says the list is so great. The list is so numerous. I'm not going to take time to name every individual, but here's what they did. Here's what they faced. Here's what they suffered. And every one of these individuals were faithful to God. You know, my friends, every November, the President of the United States stands before the tomb of the unknown soldier in a very, I think, heart-rending, touching ceremony, lays the wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. But are you aware of the fact, and I know that you are, that God has His unknown soldiers? Plurality. Who are they? I don't know. What do they look like? I don't know. Were they men? Yes. Were they women? Yes. But other than that, my friends, the Bible is totally silent, other than the fact of the things that they did. And that's what we need to understand. Here is people who were called upon to make choices, just as Moses called the children of Israel. Who Who's on the Lord's side? They heard that question and they responded affirmatively. They follow God. And I want to draw your attention to something that I think is one of the most outstanding statements in all of this Hebrews chapter 11. Read with me verse 39, please. As inspiration pens these words, or verse 38 rather, as inspiration pens these words concerning these individuals, of whom the world was not worthy. Friends, I want you to meditate on that just a minute. These individuals, what did they do? They faced crimes, atrocious things, hideous things, living in caves, living in den, and then inspiration says, not based upon their wealth, not based upon their standing in society, but based upon the fact of their faithfulness to God, they had heard who was on the Lord's side. They responded, and inspiration says, the world was not worthy of these people. Brother Paul, I hope when I lay down my head in death, that man can truthfully say and engrave on my tombstone, of whom the world was not worthy. My friends, that is a tremendous tribute to these individuals. Abel, Abraham, called the friend of God. Moses, David, 1 Kings chapter 15, verse number 5, speaks of David and says that he did everything that God would have him to do, except in the case of the woman, the wife of Uriah the Hittite. That ought to cause us to stop and meditate. David heard the question, who was on the Lord's side? And he responded affirmatively. My friends, this says so much of these great individuals here that are found upon the pages of inspiration. And so we could multiply this, and how many that Paul mentions in the latter verses of chapter 11, how many he has reference to, I don't know. To whom he has reference, I don't know. And this side of the time, I will never know. But I do know this. Inspiration could say of whom the world was not worthy. Young people, set your goal or your eyes on that particular goal, that when you die, it can be truthfully said of you, the world was not worthy of this man or this woman. And that is a goal that we all ought to follow. But I'm sad to say there are some today who have chosen not to be on the Lord's side. Some in the spiritual realm, and I want to focus primarily upon that, who have made the choice not to follow God. Now, friends, these people that we have reference to, and those that we're going to mention, it is not for the purpose of hurting anyone's feelings. It is not for the purpose of looking to those individuals and, as it were, pointing them out with the idea that in some way we want to hurt them. But I want to give you a few marks of some of those individuals, denominations, or of this nature. Are these people honest in sincerity? Are honest and sincere? Well, sure they are. They're honest and sincere. But my friend, I'm here to tell you that Jacob was honest and sincere. You remember when word is brought back to him that Joseph, his son, was alive down into Egypt? You remember that he believed them not? Here, several years prior to that, they had brought the coat of many colors dipped in the blood of an animal. He was absolutely convinced, he was honest, and he was sincere. Joseph was dead, but he was wrong. Honest and sincerity doesn't determine right or wrong. We need to look at the concept of that which God has revealed upon the page. Anything, listen to me, anything that is contrary to the will of Almighty God is that which would place us on the side of not being on God's side. There are some today, my friends, who pride themselves in the fact that they want to change everything that you and I have long considered as that which cannot be changed, which must not be changed. They themselves are self-proclaimed change agents. And they gloat in this particular idea. And every doctrine that our forefathers in the faith have met on the polemic platform and soundly defeated generations ago are now being advocated by those who claim to be members of the Church of Christ. We need to understand anything, everything that we once would say cannot, must not be changed is an object of their hate and their venom. Friends, if they haven't tried to change it, it's just simply because they haven't thought of it. I'm serious. Everything. Consider, if you will, the idea. They even challenged verbal inspiration. Do you know a man from out in Abilene a few years ago preached or wrote an article concerning Christmas at Matthew's house? And do you know what he did? He cast reflections upon the Virgin Mother of our Lord. Oh, I've heard all kinds of arguments why Mary couldn't be a virgin and so on and so forth, but I want to set forth an argument that I've never heard presented that proves conclusively that God looked upon her as a virgin in the strictest sense. In Luke chapter 1, Zacharias, who was a priest, who was the husband of Elizabeth, and was to be the father of John the Baptist, or Gabriel, the angel of God, who stood in the presence of God, appeared unto him, and he told him that he and his wife was going to have a son, and he was going to be that messenger to go before the Lord. And you remember what Zacharias did? What sign are you going to give me? And Gabriel said, here's your sign. You're going to be dumb and not able to speak until this is fulfilled. 5 or 6 months later, the same angel appeared to a woman by the name of Mary, and he told her that she was going to conceive in her womb, and that it would be that which would be ultimately, or would be, the Son of God. And you remember what she said? Listen to this. How shall this be? Listen. Seeing I know not a man. To whom is she speaking? Gabriel. What he had just done 5 or 6 months before that, because Zacharias would not believe him, he struck him dumb. Now here is a young woman, we're told that he is not a virgin, and she says to the same angel, I don't know a man, I've never known a man in a sexual relationship. And if she was lying, God is not fair. He should have done something to the Virgin Mary, shouldn't he? If she lied, he should have done something to her. He would have called her attention to it. My friends, I believe that is proof beyond a shadow of a doubt that the angel Gabriel at least looked upon her as a virgin in the strictest sense. We're hearing various things from various ideas. The nature of truth. Is truth knowable and attainable? We are told that people are absolutely certain that you can't be absolutely certain about anything. That's ridiculous on its face, but that's their basic argument. We hear the idea that we can't really know truth as it is revealed upon the pages of inspiration, but only as we think that it is the truth. And this truth is not to be bound upon anybody else. It is only applicable to me and no other person. That, my friends, is the reason why some of our brethren are not taking the stand against premillennialism that they ought to. Because to them it's a matter of opinion. This is why they do not oppose mechanical instruments or music. This is why they say the church is not of divine origin. This is why that they not only deny the virgin birth of Christ, but they also say that man even today does not have to understand the purpose of baptism. Think for a moment of verbal inspiration. Paul sets that forth clear and unmistakable in 1 Timothy chapter 3. When he says, without controversy, great is the mystery, or 2 Timothy 3:16, all Scripture is given by the inspiration of God, and is profitable for doctrine, reproof, correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good work. But we are told now that means information only. And thus the inspired Word of God has been delivered, and now it takes a direct working of the Holy Spirit upon the human heart to effect the fruit of the Spirit. That strikes at the very nature of verbal inspiration. It denies it. God has given us something. But you see, in order for that to be effective in our life to the degree that God wants it, there must be a direct operation of the Holy Spirit upon the heart of the Christian. Now, friends, that's false to the core. And other things that we could mention. We're told that, the church up until the last 20, 30, 40 years, Brother Harold, did not understand the subject of grace. Great men like Franklin Camp, Brother Guy N. Woods, Floyd Wallace, E.R. Harper, and other great men of yesteryear, not only the last generation, but the last several generations, these men who knew the Bible frontwards and backwards, upside down, they never understood the concept of grace. And it took some individual with a degree, and he was finally to uncover the concept of what is true grace. I feel by these people just like Felix did of Paul. Acts 26:24, Paul, much learning doth make thee man. That's what I feel about these individuals. My friends, we've understood the concept of grace, and we understand that it comprehends the idea of what God has done for us. But let's hurry on, because the time is rapidly moving on. We're told the church is too negative, it's dogmatic, it's exclusive. Not only does it not know the meaning of grace, but it's pharisaic in its judgment. We're told that the church needs a new hermeneutic, that is a way of interpreting the Scriptures, and that is basically just whatever you want it to be, that's what it is. We're told that where the Scriptures are silent, we may act and speak. And on we can go. Friends, listen to me. Everything that you practice last Sunday morning, the communion, the singing, the preaching, anything, is an object of that which they detest, and they're going to change it. Some of my brethren, I'm afraid to say, I'm sorry to say, are going along with it, because they are not standing in the gap. I've heard of a lot of preachers. He preaches the truth. Yes, I've heard a lot of preachers who preach the truth. But my friends, they will not oppose error when it is staring them right in the face, when it is in the very midst of the congregation in which they're members. We could name them by the hundreds, my friends. Listen to me. Preachers of this nature are doing as much today to lose the church to liberalism as those who are actively engaged in the change agent movement. We need to understand that. Friends, I don't like controversy. I'm a coward. I'll just be honest with you, I'm a coward. I don't like controversy. But there comes a time when we have to stand upon that which God has revealed to us. We could refer to many things. Notice, if you would, various people or institutions that are those who are active in this. The Tulsa Soul Winning Workshop and its polyviparic concept of that now defunct National Jubilee. Many of the universities are openly advocating this basic idea. They're upholding it in their lectureship, their seminars, and their workshops. Pepperdine, Abilene Christian, and David Lipscomb University, my friends, they're gone. They're not headed that direction, they're gone. We need to understand that. And yet, as I mentioned this, there is something that comes to my mind, Brother Harold, that I cannot explain today. The loyalty that is instilled in the heart of people by various religious or rather educational institutions. You can talk about God, you can talk about Christ, you can talk about the Holy Spirit, you can talk about the blood-bought church that Jesus Christ shed His precious blood, but don't you talk about my school. No, not me. I think schools are good things. I have no problem with them, my friends. I direct one. But I hope the time never comes when somebody stands up and defends OABS simply because it's OABS, and if there's something wrong, then it needs to be brought out. And these colleges and their lectureships openly advocating that. My friends, look at ACU and its press. Look at OCC and its organ, the Christian Chronicle. They are openly advocating this. They are upholding these false teachers. Certainly then, as we look at this, friend, we ought to think very seriously, who is on the Lord's side? Consider for just a moment. Already been mentioned here, Max Lucado. I was going into denominationalism. Leave us alone. We'd be better off. Rupert Shelley. I thought would be the Savior of the church 30 years ago, but now he's one of the biggest apostates among us. Mike Cope out of Abilene. What about the Christian Chronicle? We've already mentioned this. What about Howard Publishing Company? And on we could go. But consider, if you would, other individuals. Carol Osborne, C. Leonard Allen, Bill Love, Randy Harris, F. LaGard Smith, Jeff Walling, Joe Bean, Prentice Mayer, Mike Armour, Marvin Phillips, Terry Rush, Calvin Walker, Betty Bell. And on we can multiply that. Individuals who are bent on changing the truth of God's Word. And my friend, I propose for your consideration there is one reason and one reason alone. They do not respect the authority of the Scriptures. And they're going to change the church regardless. Paul spoke of these individuals in the 16th chapter of the book of Romans. I want you to turn over there. Mike, how much time do I have? 5 minutes? Okay. Romans chapter 16. I want to tell you and show you that here Paul faced this very thing. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which you have learned, and avoid them. For they that are such serve not our Lord Jesus Christ. Now watch this. But their own bellies, and by good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple. Friends, when he says that they love or they are serving their own belly, you know what that means? Doesn't mean that they're guilty of overeating. It doesn't mean that they ate too much. You see, in that day and time, this particular part of the human body was considered the center of the human body. Thoughts, feelings, affections, everything was right here. And when they're talking about those who serve their own belly, they're talking about people who are going to have their will regardless of what God said. That's what they're talking about. Paul spoke of this in Philippians chapter 3, verses 16 and following. He said, Nevertheless, whereunto we have already attained, let us walk by the same rule, let us mind the same thing. Brethren, be followers together of me, and mark them which walk so as you have us for an example. For many walk, of whom I have told you often, and now even tell you weeping, that they are enemies of the cross of Christ, whose end is destruction, whose God is their belly, and whose glory is in their shame, and who mind earthly things. Who's on the Lord's side? My friends, it's not wrong to oppose either. Many times I look at Matthew chapter 7 and verse 1 where Jesus said, well, you know what he says, judge not them that judge, or judge not, that you be not judged. But isn't it strange, the same Jesus who said, judge not, that you be not judged, some 13 to 14 verses later, says, beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing. You have to make a judgment. Listen to me, young people. When the time comes when you have to make a choice between right or wrong, doing that which God wants you to do or that which you know is wrong, you are making a judgment. We need to understand this. This whole nonsense that we're not to pass any judgment at all is absolutely ridiculous. Isn't it strange that they would tell me that I'm not to judge, and while they're telling me that, Brother Harold, they're judging me, and they're telling me that I'm wrong. As my dad used to say, and I've heard him many times from the pulpit, he said, "Oh, consistency, thou art a jewel." Now, when I began to preach, Brother Paul, I won't use that in the sermon, and I wore out 2 Cruden's Concordance trying to find it. It wasn't there. But it sets forth the very principle of which we're looking at. My friends, who is on the Lord's side? Folks, listen to me very kindly. Those who are following God. It's not something beyond our ability. It's not something that is mission impossible. But it's something that God wants us to do. The person who plays church is not on the Lord's side. The individual who strives to be just as active in the body of Christ as they absolutely have to be, they're not on the Lord's side. People who are not convicted and converted to that which is the truth of God and cannot be gainsaid, these people are not on the Lord's side. Why do you think Jesus wrote the Revelation epistle to the church at Laodicea? He says, because thou art neither cold nor hot, you're lukewarm. He said, I'll spew thee out of my mouth. I want to give you a little rendering of that. Because you're lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I will vomit you out of my mouth. That's what he's saying. My friends, the lukewarm Christian is not on the Lord's side. I would beseech each of us then to think very seriously about what it means to follow God. Think very seriously of the import and the impact of Moses' statement in Exodus chapter 32. Who is on the Lord's side? Can he depend on you? Or can he depend on you only when it's convenient? So many times people do not have the wherewithal to stand for that which is right. You know, you don't have to be ugly to stand for the truth. But I'm here to tell you that God expects you to stand for the truth anytime, every time, on every occasion. And He wants you to make the right choice. Choose ye this day whom you will serve. Who is on the Lord's side? Now, my friends, there's only two answers to that question. Who's on the Lord's side? I am, or I am not. And that's all there is. Thank you very much.